It's almost the new year, and I hope you will join me in finding goals for quality dating. Well, welcome. This is Dating with Katy, and thanks so much for joining the podcast today. I'm super excited. I know we're all revved up. It's the holiday season. It's the new year coming. But look, these goals for dating are always relevant if you are dating. So I hope you love today's podcast. I'm really bringing in the best of the best. I'm going to be using a lot of other podcasts to direct you into what these 5 goals are going to be for you in this next year or for whenever you decide to get out there and get dating, because I want to make sure that you get confident, are successful, and you have some fun dating. All right, well, thanks again for joining. Make sure that you subscribe, click the little button. Do me a favor, give me like a 5-star review, 6 if you can. I always appreciate reading what you guys write. I always take it really into consideration. I love the emails I get. I love how directive you can be, which I'm all about directive. And knowing, like, what can I do to serve you guys better in the dating world? So also make sure that you get into my network. My network is super secure. I am a matchmaker. If I think that you are a fabulous person and I have a good match for you, I will reach out. We will chat. If you'd like to become that client that I am recruiting for, I'm technically a recruiter. I would love to work with you in this new year or at any time. So make sure you just reach out to me. All the links are below, and we will chat soon. All right, well, let's get started because I have 5 goals to make sure that you are doing quality dating. Now, all I can say is this. You cannot control other people in dating. You can only control you. So you know that no matter how people behave, that doesn't matter. I'm asking you to behave like a 20%er. You guys, if you've been following me long enough, you know my rule. Out of the 100% of people dating, 80% are not quality. And they might be good people, but they're not quality daters. They're not doing it right. They're ghosting, they're catfishing, they're hatfishing. They're just looking to hook up. They're not financially ready. They're too busy with their kids. They just like the ego stroke. There's 1,000 things about those 80%ers that just proves they're not ready. And I always believe my 20%ers are 3 things. They're cool. They're just like cool people. You know, when you meet a cool person, you're like, that person's cool. It's because they've done the work. And that's that deeper, and like I'm no deeper relationship inner child coach. So there's plenty of them out there on Instagram. Even relationship coaches that help you work through all that stuff. Go do it. You need to do it. And it's, you know, so if you're cool, it's because you've done that work. And then you're just quality. Like you've grown up, you're adulting well, and you're ready for an LTR. So that's what it is. You're cool, quality, and you're ready. Okay? So make sure that if you are my 20%er, you are just cool, you're well traveled, you've done the work, and you are ready for something amazing because you actually believe it. And that's what I'm finding is that there's a lot of bitter Bettys and bitter Bobs. And you guys will see them sometimes in my feed when I post a story on masculinity and femininity and how people should treat each other in dating. And look, I'm fine if you don't agree. But man, some of the comments I get are just ripping me apart, ripping single women apart, ripping men apart. And you'll see it also in other people's Instagrams, you know, like just negativity towards that opposite sex. And I think, well, that's funny because that's what you want to find. It'd be like me making fun of money. Like money's terrible. I can't trust no money. It's like, you know what? I want money in my life. So why would I speak negatively about money? If you want a man, if you want a woman in your life, which if you're listening, I know that you do, then you need to speak positively. So I'm no manifester. I'm a believer in speaking positively, trusting God's timing. But look, at the end of the day, watch your words. Well, let's get down to number 1. Right here is right expectations. Again, because you're my 20%ers, you've got a mind. You're not letting your feelings run you over. You understand, the first things first here is that you understand your value in the market. So I talk a lot about this, and it sounds a little shallow, but look, let's be honest. If a house is for sale in one neighborhood worth $10 million, that's different than my house worth $1 million, right? It's a different market, and you're going to have different shoppers at each house. So I have this fun little dating quotient that I did to make sure that you're of a high value, right? You hear a lot of dating coaches say high value women. And well, so what does that mean? What does that really look like? I'm very pragmatic, so I always love little tests and quizzes. You guys have seen I have quite a few that I've posted about and a few I'm going to talk about today. But in my podcast 36, I talk about the dating quotient, which is what is your value in the market? Like, where do you stand and what do you deserve? A lot of people might be, on a scale of 1 to 10, they might be a 7. They might be a 6. Like, they're kind of frazzled in life. They're not totally together. They're overweight and they're unhappy about that. So like, go fix that. podcast too, I talk about all about being healthy. It's so critical because you're bringing your best self forward. So if they're a 7'6" and, they tell me their expectations, they want tall, dark, handsome with 6-pack abs. I'm like, girl, you're at 7'6" and you want a 9'10". You want a private, like, really? So just make sure that you understand your value. Also, what's good about this little quiz I do is that it'll help you see where you maybe lack a little bit. There's 5 things that I ask you to self-assess, and they're really easy. It's kind of fun, and maybe there's something in there that you recognize, I could work on that, and this is a great time to do it. My podcasts are here to help you, so send me an email. Tell me what dating quotient number you got. I just got a recent guy who said, Katy, I got a 9.2, and I'm like, well, then why are you still single? It's probably because it's hard to find a woman who's of that caliber. No, I like to say I'm an 8.5 on a good day. I always think there's nobody who's a 10, so don't even try. Look, none of us are perfect. We should all be growing somewhere. So go give yourself that little quiz. That is podcast 36. The other thing with right expectations is that you have to understand your reality. Like, are you even able to date? I ask this a lot, and I hear from people, women with kids that really don't have time to date, but they want to date because it feels good to get out. It feels good to have a meal, but you're really not available. So in my podcast too, I talk about the 4 foundations, and these are literally, are you even ready to be dating? So if you haven't listened to that podcast, it's one of my most listened to podcasts. It really is. If you're new and you're just like, Katy, I'm new, I'm ready to date, then that's great. I'm going to say, go listen to podcast 2. There are 4 foundations that you need to make sure are good, are settled, are solid, so you can have a good dating expectation. So number 1 was right expectations. Now, number 2 is to regulate those expectations. Now, you could be all up in your head and say, Katy, I agree with you. You're 100% right. Well, yeah, but then you get all emotional and you want to quit, and I'm going to quit dating. All these guys are bad. Your negativity is speaking again. Your emotions are all over the place, and you can't let that happen, which is part of my podcast too. And that's called mental fortitude. So you've got to learn to regulate those emotions. So one of the things I did, I created a podcast called Timelining Your Dating. People get nervous, they get confused, like, where should we be? Should we be exclusive yet? Should we be kissing? This is date 1, what are the expectations? I actually created a little timeline. And now look, I am a dating coach. I'm not a relationship coach technically, although I have a lot of great relationship advice. I teach more about the first 3 months, like starting to date, getting out there again, going on the first few dates. What are the expectations? And these are my personal opinion, but I've been doing this for hundreds of people, and I dated quite a few, which you can listen to, the old guy, the rich guy, and the nice guy, my last podcast. So you can hear my stories. But go check that out so that you can understand during that up and down of starting to date someone, going through the different weeks and months, like where your emotions should be, okay? And they shouldn't be all over there towards one person. And you'll understand that in the podcast. Also, what do you do when you're disappointed from dating? Like, what is needed so that you can come out and come back to having fun and dating? Because that energy is important. That's podcast 29. So we've got to learn how to regulate our disappointment, understand the timeline, and then you also should look back at all your relationships and do what I call my relationship quotient test. So this is the RQ. The DQ was your dating quotient. This is the RQ. It just goes in line with the EQ and the IQ. But this is a little test that I've done that helps you assess like the value of your past relationships and any that you're currently in. And I do it with my boyfriend. I make him do it as well because we get different numbers. It's literally my 5 C's, which I'll talk about in a minute. And you know, out of 20 points, where are you guys at? Where are you guys at in these 5 C's? And then you add the total and how close are you to 100, right? The goal is to pass 80. I once heard Dr. Phil say that a good relationship is 70% good and 30%, not so great. Well, I'm a believer in the 80-20. I want my relationships to be 80% good, which would be 80 points in my test, and then 20% working on. So go check out that one. That's podcast 37, the relationship quotient. Let's move on. So we have right expectations. We're regulating those expectations. And then this is number 3. You're going to show up better. If you want to have great quality dating, and I'm only talking about you right now, you need to show up better because I believe how you show up matters. You will hear me say that all the time. Again, if 2 houses are for sale, if they're on the exact same street in the exact same market, but one house, the owner decides to paint it and put new flowers in, great green grass, which one is going to get more interest? The one down the street, they just kept it. It's kind of old. It's kind of dated. And I know some people say, well, Katy, inside the bones are great on both of them, and both of the houses have equal value. Well, they don't, because visually, one of the houses are 2.0'd. So are you a 2.0? I know when I got divorced, I was frumpy. And I'm going to tell you this, I have a great frumpy, what I say frumpy to fabulous story. I did a whole glow up. It was a transition in my life. I got my sexy back, which, ladies, I have 7 Steps to Sexy. It is coming out. It will be a video education program. It is so fun. There are 7 things that men find sexy, which, by the way, I have a sexy survey. So guys, if you haven't done that, go check it out. It's in my link tree as well. The link is below. We want to be sexy. Sexy is a good thing. So ladies, do that. And then guys, I have Confidence 101 for men. So if you're not sure how to show up better, how to 2.0 yourself, guys, I've already got this all set up for you. I am here to help you get confident. So go check those out all on my website. Links are below. And technically, when you're on a date, it's about looks, it's about energy, and it's about the effort. So are we showing up better in those 3 areas? Now, I have a podcast, 24 and 25, and very highly listened to. It's the do's and don'ts on a first date. Now, I have one just for ladies, and men, if you listen to it, you'll love what I say. You'll be like, thank you, Katy, for sharing these things. And then on podcast 25, the do's and don'ts for him. Ladies, if you go listen to this, you will thank me as well. So listen to both so you can see both sides of the story, which I'm always getting feedback from both sides. So I'm always sharing it back both ways. All right, number 4, let's write the correct list. Some of you big manifestors, you're making your manifestation list, you're making your board, you've got Mr. Picture Perfect. I mean, I even have a chocolate ornament that is the perfect man. This is all great in theory, but when you really think about it, somebody that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, the only list you need is to how you want to be treated. That's it. If he's bald, who cares? But if he treats you amazing, fantastic. If she's a little bit curvier than your typical, but she adores you and she encourages you and she supports you and she uplifts you, then that's who you should be with. So go make a list. And a lot of these things are about the 5 C's, which is so important to me. These 5 C's are what make a relationship great. And chemistry is not the only thing. I understand people love chemistry. It's like a first date. Oh, I got to have chemistry. No, you don't. Chemistry is 20% of the equation, because there's 4 other things that make a great relationship, guys, and that is your goal. So make a new list, and that is your standards list, and that list is going to be all about how I want to be treated. And not only that, you better treat that person that way. So that is now a self-checklist on, oh my gosh, am I doing that to them as well? And look, at the end of the day, he might be hot, she might be hot, but when you go look at the standards list and you realize that they don't text you back, they are not communicative, you know what? That's not a good fit. And as much as you're going to miss out on the hotness, you're going to have a much better relationship. You're going to thank me later. And number 5, here's my big thing. Can we date like adults, please? I literally need to get a hat that says date like an adult. We need to, my goal for you guys is that you get confident, you be successful, and you have some fun dating. And technically, that's called dating like an adult. We don't need to act childish. And all of these are within the first 3 months. My podcast 35 is about the emotional intelligence in dating. Huge. Highly listened to. Everybody wants to know about this EQ, emotional quotient, EI is what they call it now. So these are the 3 I will nots. Can you commit to me to not do these in the next year or whenever you start dating? Number 1, I will not put all my eggs in one basket. If you are dating, which is the first 3 months of starting to date in the process, you will not, promise me, you will not put all your eggs in one basket. You need a good ROI, so you should be diversifying your dating portfolio. Number 2, promise me that you will not ghost. Even if they do, you will not. So if you might need to do 2 different kinds of reach outs. If it wasn't a good fit, you send a text and you just say, hey, you were great. I don't think it's a right fit, but I wish you all the best. That's it. It is that simple. Nobody should be ghosting. Let's all date like an adult. If somebody ghosts you, you have my permission to send them a text and say, hey, it seems like it wasn't a good fit, but I wish you all the best. Because we're all just going to date like adults right now. And ladies, if those guys ghost you, send that text. Hey, I haven't heard from you. Seems like it wasn't a good fit, but I wish you all the best. You're going to be the mature one in this relationship, and he's going to get a little bit of a, hello, let's grow up and date, let's be the man around here, the man with the plan. So ladies, I am okay if you send that text. And number 3, let's not give up, guys. I know your one is out there, but you also have to choose that one. Nobody is perfect. You are not perfect either. So let's go work on great relationships and have these goals deep down. Let me know what other goals you have. But until next time, you guys, you're going to tune in. I want you to subscribe. I want to make sure you send this to a single friend and get in the database. I will hear from you soon. And just wait for the next podcast because we're talking about all things that have happened in 2022 and looking forward to 2023. All right, you guys, have a good one.